I knew it was right to stay up to watch this fight. I knew I did the right thing by staying up to watch this fight. What a card that was. Anybody who tells you that that card was not worth, what was it? 70 American dollars was it for tonight's pay-per-view? Anybody who tells you that that pay-per-view wasn't worth it is full of shit. That pay-per-view was non-stop entertainment from start to finish. You had Canelo Alvarez turn up tonight. You had the main man himself, the pound for pound, yeah, number one in boxing. Canelo Alvarez himself turned up to see the great Charles Martin and Luis Ortiz, yeah, duke it out. That's how big this card was. You know who else turned up as well? Shit. I haven't even got my graphics ready. Hold on. You know who turned up? Yordenis Ugas. Yordenis Ugas turned up. And you know what it means when Yordenis Ugas turns up? When Yordenis Ugas turns up, that means we also get to see Yordenis Ugas' girlfriend, because Ugas don't go nowhere without his girlfriend. Look. So you got Yordenis Ugas' girlfriend turned up. Canelo Alvarez even spoke Spanish, even spoke fluent English tonight, you know. Canelo Alvarez spoke fluent fucking English tonight. That's how good this pay-per-view was, you know. Al Heyman got Canelo Alvarez speaking fluent English. Luis Ortiz speaking fluent English at the end. 150 years old. God, be careful, they should knock us. 150 years old. Luis Ortiz, 150-year-old man. To be honest, yeah, I have to say, Ortiz looked fucking dreadful. Yes, Daryl. Yes, Daryl. Ortiz looked absolutely fucking dreadful. Like, his legs are absolutely gone. He looked every bit, yeah, of his 150 years old. What is it the Anthony Joshua fans have been saying now for the last 3 years? Luis Ortiz is 150 years old. Guess what? Still knocks out. Still knocks out, yeah, former Anthony Joshua world title opponent Charles Martin. Devastating knockout, yeah, in round 7, yeah. He literally switched Charles Martin's lights off. I mean, we always use the phrase out on their feet. Charles Martin was literally out on his feet with that overhand left chair from Luis Ortiz, the 150-year-old Luis Ortiz. So, yeah, what do you guys think? I think this is pretty much the end of Luis Ortiz at the top level. I mean, Charles Martin knocked him down twice in this fight. You know, there's the second knockdown. The first one, to me, looked a bit of a, well, actually, the first knockdown was a heavy shot because it hit Luis Ortiz at the back of the head. There's no shame. There is no shame in going down with a big shot, yeah, from the back of the head. But fuck me. That second one. Luis Ortiz getting done off a jab. I mean, his legs are absolutely gone, innit? Luis Ortiz got legitimately knocked down off a jab by Charles Martin. Legs are absolutely gone. Upper body looked fine. Upper body looked fine. I also think, and I will throw this in, there's a couple of people that I think are going to want to come on the chat. So we'll bring them in, yeah? We'll bring them in a sec. I will say this. I think Luis Ortiz really struggled with southpaws tonight. I know from experience. I haven't got any experience, but southpaw versus southpaw is extremely hard because southpaws, right? As left-handers, we never really get in the ring with other left-handers. So the few times I have got in the ring with other left-handers, it's very, very messy and it's extremely awkward. And I do think Luis Ortiz is old. I do think we've seen the best of Luis Ortiz. I personally think Dillian Whyte would beat Luis Ortiz if they were to fight next week or tomorrow or in 6 months' time. I think Dillian Whyte would knock Luis Ortiz out. That's my opinion. I think Luis Ortiz's legs are gone. Having said that, yeah, I will say this. He will look better against an orthodox opponent because I'm telling you now, you get two southpaws together. It's very, very difficult because us left-handers are just not used to sparring or getting in the ring with other left-handers at all in fights, you know. So you could see Ortiz was struggling a lot to land the left hand very, very early on. And we'll talk about the mechanics of the fight. But yeah, all the talk going into this, Anthony Joshua fans were hoping and praying that Charles Martin would beat Luis Ortiz so they could finally, yeah, destroy the resume of Deontay Wilder. Wilder's resume is terrible. Wilder's resume is terrible. Even Charles Martin beat Ortiz. Well, like I said before, Ortiz struggled. You know, that first knockdown was heavy. The second one wasn't heavy at all. But I tell you one thing, he absolutely wiped Charles Martin out. He absolutely wiped him out, yeah, in that 6th or 7th round. and he left no stone unturned. He left no doubt, yeah, as to who the better man is. Daryl says Ortiz is the best man over 50. Big John Fury doesn't want that smoke. Listen, unfortunately now for Luis Ortiz, that is the kind of direction that we're going to have to move him in, aren't we? We're going to have to start talking about Luis Ortiz versus Mickey Theo. That's where we're going with this now with Luis Ortiz, isn't it? I mean, his legs looked absolutely terrible tonight. So Luis Ortiz versus Mickey Theo. That's got to be the retirement fight for Luis Ortiz. But I don't really want to see this guy get in the ring with someone like a Dillian Whyte, because I think Dillian Whyte's a lot of things, but I think Dillian Whyte's a little bit more durable. I think he's a harder puncher than Charles Martin. I think he's a lot bigger and heavier than Charles Martin. And if he hits Luis Ortiz with some shots, Luis Ortiz is definitely going over. You're getting buzzed with a jab. You don't really need to be getting in the ring with the likes of a Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua, them kind of opponents. So I'm kind of hoping now, yeah, that, you know, what are they going to do with Luis Ortiz? Like cryogenically freeze him until the next time he has to come out and fight. I don't know what you can do with Ortiz. Mummify him, freeze him. What is it they inject people with? Testosterone, not testosterone. What is it? Stem cell or whatever they do. They do that fucking rejuvenation stuff for people in old age, yeah, trying to recoup their youth. What injections is it? Is it testosterone injections? Whatever it is, yeah, whatever it is. Cryogenic freezing, mummifying. Look, let me tell you what Al Heyman will be doing to Luis Ortiz right now. He'll be mummifying him, innit? Look. He'll be getting the bandages out. He'll be getting the bandages out, man. Trying to mummify Ortiz. Trying to preserve him. They'll be trying to preserve Luis Ortiz because he's done. He's absolutely done. But PBC be trying their best. Look, this is PBC working on Ortiz after the fight. Look. Can you see this picture here? Oh, fuck it up. Let me get this picture out. Hold on. This is PBC, yeah? On Ortiz. And as usual, here we go. Here we go. That's Al Heyman, yeah? And the Watson twins working on Luis Ortiz after the fight. Mummify this man. They're trying to preserve him. He looks cooked. Ortiz looks cooked to me, boy. He looks cooked, but it is what it is. But listen, it is what it is. And the AJ fans, isn't it? What are the AJ fans saying about Wilder's resume? AJ fans, what are you saying about Wilder's resume? He was all queuing up, yeah, to shove it on Wilder. But listen, that knockout from Ortiz. The most ironic thing is this, yeah? And then we'll get onto your comments and then we'll get some people on. The most ironic thing is this. 150-year-old Luis Ortiz knocked out Charles Martin. Like, he was out. Like, when Anthony Joshua fought Charles Martin, Anthony Joshua never really hurt Charles Martin. Charles Martin just gave up in the fight. Do you remember this? Yeah? Many years ago. Anthony Joshua versus Charles Martin. Do you remember they even did a gloves are off for this fight? Looking back on it, you have to laugh. But Anthony Joshua never really hurt Charles Martin. Like, Luis Ortiz, 150 years old, he wiped Charles Martin out. Charles Martin was out on his feet. So that's the fucking biggest irony of this fight. 150-year-old Luis Ortiz conclusively got rid, yeah, of Charles Martin. There was no getting up at 9. Did he get up early enough? Did he not? There was no, did Charles Martin sell his titles? Was Charles Martin paid to lose? There was none of that, right? Charles Martin was absolutely out of his mind, yeah, when Luis Ortiz hit him with that overhand left. He was absolutely gone. So, yeah, get your comments in. Talk about what we want to talk about. Seal the Deal says, Ortiz versus Chisora, a retirement fight for both men. Do you know what? I don't know, I mean, Ortiz versus Chisora. Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me if Ortiz won that fight, to be honest. Excuse me, if Chisora beat Ortiz, it wouldn't surprise me, because Chisora is very durable, Chisora is very, very durable. So Chisora and Ortiz, it would not shock me if Chisora won that fight at all, to be honest. I know what you're thinking, Paver. Ortiz would take Chisora's head off, but I tell you what, I honestly think if Chisora can get out of the early rounds in that fight, I actually think Chisora might do something. Luis Ortiz's legs are absolutely gone, man. I mean, the man got put on his ass off a jab from Charles Martin. Let's be real, yeah? let's be real. Luis Ortiz, yeah, he is coming to the end, isn't he? Let's just be honest. He's had a good run. I'm trying to find some. Who done this? Who done this picture of Luis Ortiz? That is dreadful. Heavyweight boxer Luis Ortiz, 84, dies peacefully in his sleep. Who fucking did that? That is a fucking disgrace. Let this old man rest, man. You guys want Luis Ortiz to get in the ring with fucking Chisora. Luis Ortiz. Do you know what Luis Ortiz needs, yeah? Luis Ortiz don't need to be fighting no Dillian Whyte, yeah? Or fighting no Anthony Joshua. Let me tell you what Luis Ortiz needs. Let me tell you what Luis Ortiz needs. This is what Luis Ortiz needs. He needs one of these. Hold up. For my English crew will know about this. Oopsie daisy. Luis Ortiz needs a nice mug of Horlicks. You feel me? That's what Luis Ortiz needs, yeah? That's what Luis... That's what Luis Ortiz needs, man. He needs a nice malted mug of Horlicks, yeah? And he needs a nice pair of slippers. And he needs a reclining chair as well. Let's be real, innit? Get the recliner out for Ortiz. Hold on. Get the recliner out. I'm just being honest, man. I'm just being real, man. Get the reclining chair out for Ortiz, man. Stop trying to push this guy into big fights, man. The man's 100 years old. Let him rest, innit? 100 years old, yeah? Still knocking out Anthony Joshua opponents. Leave the man alone and let the man have a happy retirement, man. Frank says, nah, he need those Bluetooth earbuds the old heads love. That's cold, bro. Luis Ortiz, man. Listen, it is what it is. Dillian Whyte, let me go through this. This is a funny tweet. I have to say, a very, very funny tweet. Dillian Whyte right now, they're speculating that Dillian Whyte would be absolutely rubbing his hands, yeah, at the prospect of fighting Luis Ortiz because, of course, we all know Dillian Whyte loves them over 40. The can man. They call him the can man. The tomato can man. Anyone over 40 can get it. So, yeah. I mean, all we need now from Luis Ortiz, yeah. I think he checks he checks all the boxes for a Dillian Whyte opponent, doesn't he? 42 years old. All he needs now is to get COVID, doesn't he? That's the only thing he needs now, Luis Ortiz. All he needs to do now is get COVID, and then Dillian Whyte can drag him out of the hospital straight into a rematch, like he did with Povetkin. Isn't it? Dillian Whyte can drag him straight out of hospital into a rematch like he did with Povetkin. I mean, then we get a million videos from you know who going, Dillian's my best friend. Dillian's my best friend. Ortiz, let me before I get people on, let me ask you. Give me a name. Who wins? Dillian Whyte or Luis Ortiz? I'll be honest with you. It hurts my heart to say this, but I actually believe Dillian Whyte will knock him out if they fight. It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart to say that, but I think Dillian Whyte will knock him out if they fight because I'm telling you now, man, Dillian Whyte's big. He's very big. He's got no stamina whatsoever. But, I mean, you're getting buzzed off a jab by Charles Martin. And Charles Martin's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. But I think Dillian Whyte, honestly, he's a lot more heavy set. He punches a lot harder than Charles Martin. I really do fancy Dillian Whyte to get him out of there if they fight. Late rounds. That's what I feel about it. Late rounds. Impure Sins, who looks like he's boxed. Wow. Somebody who's actually been in the ring and put gloves on. Either that or he's done some kind of Krav Maga or some kind of self-defense protection course. Dude, I was like, damn. Ortiz has no balance or legs. He's going to lose. And Martin looks significantly better since his fight with AJ. And he performed. But with great power comes responsibility. Listen, part of the reason why Ortiz looked bad, yeah, is because it was Southpaw versus Southpaw. I can honestly tell you, yeah, even for me, I haven't had any fights, but I sparred a ton. And southpaw fighters, I'm a southpaw myself, left versus left is very, very hard. It's very, very hard because we're never ever used to getting in the ring with each other. You know, we're southpaws specialize and deal with orthodox fighters, yeah. But it's very, very difficult once both of the fighters are left-handed. And I thought Luis Ortiz had a hard time setting up his left hand tonight. And Charles Martin, let me tell you about Charles Martin. Think about Luis Ortiz, right? We'll talk about it more when we get some people on, right? But one of the things that Luis Ortiz was doing that's very, very risky to do is when he slips that left hand to the inside. When you slip the power hand to the inside, yeah, that's a very, very dangerous thing to do in boxing, is when you slip the power hand to the inside. Most guys will tell you slip to the outside. And if Ortiz was against a right-hander, that's what he would have done. That's what he did against Deontay Wilder, particularly in their second fight. He slipped the right hand to the outside. But when you start slipping the power hand to the inside, it becomes very, very dangerous for two reasons. One, it's very hard to slip to the inside. You see how Luis Ortiz got caught on the first knockdown. He saw the left hand coming. He tried to slip the left hand to the inside. He tried to roll it to the inside. He didn't roll it enough. Caught him at the top of the back of the head and knocked him down. And that's one of the risks when you try and slip to the inside on a punch. When you try and slip to the inside, it's not as natural as slipping to the outside. And there's always a chance you slip to the inside, you can still catch a top part of the punch, side of the head, top of the head. And that's what happened to Ortiz. And when you're slipping to the inside of the power hand against a faster fighter, Charles Martin is the faster, sharper fighter by far in his fight. Very, very dangerous for Ortiz because Charles Martin was beating him to the punch with some of these jab left hands. So let me tell you something. Ortiz slipping to the inside, big problems in that fight. And what he was trying to do was he was trying to roll. So when Charles Martin threw his left hand, Luis Ortiz was trying to slip Charles Martin's left hand and then return fire with his own counter left. And he actually started to implement that as the rounds went on. But I think, again, when he gets to the ring with an orthodox fighter again, he's not going to have those problems because he's a lot better at fighting orthodox fighters and shutting down the jab of orthodox fighters. But having said that, the bottom line of it is when you're getting knocked down off jabs, yeah, by the likes of Charles Martin, Dillian Whyte will be rubbing them hands in it. So somebody called him Dean Ortiz. Someone bringing up Dean Ortiz. There you go. GB Guthrie says Dean Ortiz would have a field day. Shevin, I have sent you the link. If you want to come on and give your opinion, I've sent you the link, Shevin. If anybody else wants to come on at some point, let me know. And Daryl's here. I don't know if Daryl watched it. You didn't miss much, Daryl, if you watched it. Let's have a look here. I haven't seen enough of Filip Hrgović at all, actually. I haven't seen Filip Hrgović at all. I've hardly seen him, so I can't really make a comment about Filip Hrgović yet. Let's have a look. Frags agrees with me about Whyte beating Ortiz. Frags says, nah, bro, that's the realistic opinion. My heart wants Ortiz to KO Whyte for the memes alone, but Ortiz just getting older. Bro's going to be rolled into the ring in a wheelchair. Absolutely. Luis Ortiz, like I said before. Listen, he will fight again. He will be in a big fight again. And I think it's very possible, look, that if we don't see Fury and Whyte, and for whatever reason, if Whyte decides to go in a different direction that isn't Tyson Fury, I honestly think there's a good chance we'll see Whyte versus Ortiz, you know, or something along that line. Why not? We could see it. We really could. Be a lot of money for Ortiz. Ortiz will get a decent payday from fighting Whyte in the UK. And you know what the can man, isn't it? It's the can man. The can man against another 40-year-old. It is what it is. Right. Let's have a look. There's some other things I want to say as well, but I've completely forgotten. Those jokes about Luis Ortiz's age has completely thrown me. So, what do you think then about Wilder's resume? I mean, when did Wilder beat Ortiz? Wilder beat him in like 2018, didn't he? Let me go and get that up on BoxRec. To be honest, I always found the talk about if Ortiz loses, it makes Wilder look terrible. I always kind of found that fucking stupid because Wilder beat him like 4 or 5 years ago for the first time, didn't he? Let's have a look when he lost. 2018. 2018, it's nearly 4 years since Deontay Wilder first beat Luis Ortiz. 4 years. So, like I said before, Luis Ortiz is an old man to begin with, right? Luis Ortiz was an old man to begin with. And he fought Deontay Wilder and lost by KO 4 years ago. So, again, I don't think, like I said before, I lost 4 years ago against Deontay Wilder and then Ortiz loses to Charles Martin. I don't see it, really. I never kind of understood that, but you know what it is. people look for any excuse to slag off Wilder, but it is what it is. Let's bring in Shevin. I think Shevin disagrees with a lot of what I'm saying, which I'm fine with. But let's bring in Shevin. And actually, before I bring him in, let me just turn on my speakers so I can get that done, because actually won't be able to hear him. Just give me a sec. Joe says, yeah, but if a jab off Martin is dropping Ortiz, a straight right off Hrgovic is disastrous. It really is the end for Luis Ortiz, to be honest. Like, you know, tonight was Luis Ortiz's calling card, isn't he? He's in a fight on because he needs to provide for his daughter. His daughter's very ill, and medical bills in America are very, very expensive. So we all know Luis Ortiz is going to fight on. But the truth is, he shouldn't. He's toast. And that's the truth about Luis Ortiz. He is toast. The writing is on the wall. And he didn't even know. It was kind of distressing to watch because he couldn't even understand. Impure Sins nailed it here. He said he was off balance. No, he was not off balance at all. If you look at the first knockdown, right, go back and watch that first knockdown. That left hand he took that left hand right at the back of the head, right at the top back of the head. That was a big shot he took. He did well to get up from that, because them kind of shots you take top of the head, temple, they can disorientate you in fights, and you can never, ever get back into fights about that. You can never get back into fights again. Some fighters, you saw what happened to Anthony Joshua, took a shot against the temple against Andy Ruiz, and he never got back into the fight again. So I will say that first shot from Charles Martin, absolutely, it scrambled him. The second one, I don't know if he was off balance on that one, but the first one was terrible. The first one was a big shot he took. Are you talking about the jab? All right, well, we'll see. But for me, like I said before, I've never seen that happen to Luis Ortiz before, and I've seen Luis Ortiz fight a lot of times. And I've never seen it happen to Luis Ortiz. Oh, Jesus. Let me bring in Shevin here. Let me just see. I'm not sure if my speakers are working. Let me just make sure. Oh, they are working. Chev, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, unfortunately. Okay, brother. I know you disagree, but please disagree away. I'm going to have my cup of tea and listen. Mate, I think Luis Ortiz, look, at the end of the day, a good performance from Ortiz because he done well to come back and get him out of there. But for me, the writing is well and truly on the wall.
Well, first, let's have a moment of silence and salute to that legend, Johnny Rice, and all those college students that he's putting through college at Pinky's down in Miami right now tonight. What Johnny Rice is doing for those dancers is amazing.
If you guys saw Johnny Rice tonight, we'll talk about that maybe another time, but Johnny Rice on the undercard against Michael Coffey. Johnny Rice has a hell of a lot of talent. But anyway, go on, Luis Ortiz. Listen, Dillian Whyte will knock him out if they fight. Dillian Whyte will knock him out.
No shot.
No, he'll knock him out. I'm willing to put money. He will knock him out, 100%.
No, he could. I would give Dillian probably a 60-40 favorite in that fight to win. My argument, I was arguing with a bunch of fans who were saying that Joe Joyce is like an 80-90. I think Joyce and Ortiz is also a 50-50 fight. I don't know how all of a sudden Joe Joyce become this world beater who is not some – people talk about Luis Ortiz's age. We all know he's old as hell. I mean, Joe Joyce is going on 37 years old. He's not a young fighter either. So my thing is this. Everyone keeps talking about the legs. Ortiz looks old. Look at his legs. He was stumbling all over the place. And he was. But what everyone seems to be missing, the reason why he was like that. If you watch the fight, that hellacious shot he took from Martin to the temple, to the back of the head, eradicated his equilibrium. That's why he had no legs for the remainder of the fight. The same way you just brought up a few minutes ago, Ultra, talking about AJ, when he took that shot to the temple, took him 3, 4, 5 rounds in the Ruiz fight, and he could never get his legs back. And no one said, AJ looks 65. No, it's not that he's old or that he's young. He took a shot to the temple, and it's going to take half the fight or maybe a whole fight to get your legs back. Ortiz never got his legs back, partially probably because he is 65 years old. But he had legs in the fight, no problem, until he took a hellacious shot to the temple, which put him down. And that's what took his legs away, not the age, in my opinion. That's the point people are missing. Lastly, not lastly, but people kill me, okay? So obviously, I think a lot of people thought that, Martin would beat him. And a lot of boxing fans do this. I'm pretty sure I've done this before in my life as well. They think a fight is going to go one way, and the fight doesn't go that way, right? I know you're not doing this, but a lot of fans doing this. They thought Martin would beat him. Martin didn't beat him. So because they're wrong, they start attacking the fighters who are responsible for making them wrong. Oh, well, he got dropped by Charles Martin. I mean, okay. He went in there versus a guy who's a former champion. We all know how he became champion, but he fought a guy who's a former champion who was a much improved fighter since he fought Anthony Joshua, arguably a good top 10 heavyweight in the world. And he got dropped twice. I mean, he didn't go in there and fight a guy that he was 20 to 1 odds favorite to win, or 7 to 1 odds to win, like AJ Usyk or like AJ and Ruiz and all these other fighters we've seen have these massive upsets. So factor in, he took a hellacious shot to the temple, which eradicated his legs. And to me, I keep saying this, when a fighter gets hurt in a fight, gets dropped multiple times like he did, and still comes back and wins the fight, to me, that's more impressive than a guy who didn't get hurt. Because we're talking about heavyweights here. These guys, when they fight each other in the top 10, they're all going to get hurt. I mean, at some point, you're going to get hurt. You're fighting a top 10 heavyweight. So people acting like it was so embarrassing. He should hang his head in effigy. He should just never look himself in the mirror again because he got dropped by a top 10 heavyweight. No shame in that, in my opinion. No shame at all. Now, if someone favors Dillian Whyte to beat him, I wouldn't argue with you. That's a total reasonable thing to say. Even Joe Joyce, total reasonable thing to say. But when people start saying those are 80-20 fights or 90-10 fights in favor of Joyce, in favor of Whyte, that's crazy to me.
I tell you what, I think Joe Joyce would definitely beat Ortiz worse than Whyte. I think Joe Joyce is all wrong for Luis Ortiz. 100%.
So?
I think the last thing you need when you're Luis Ortiz, right? And I disagree with you. That's fine. I don't think it was that shot that put his legs over and he couldn't recover, because he looked fine to me after that shot. But that's me, all right? He looked steady on his legs, and then all of a sudden he was getting back into the fight and winning rounds, and then he got knocked over with a jab. So that's me. But we can disagree on that. But I personally disagree. I just think, look, sometimes you go to the well, it's not there anymore. I think Joe Joyce is a terrible fight for Luis Ortiz, because Joe Joyce will have him using those legs in ways he's never had to use them before. I mean, there's one thing about Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce has got incredible work rate, incredible stamina, and he'll have Luis Ortiz walking backwards in straight lines all night long until Ortiz tries to knock him out, and probably fails, in my opinion. So that's what I would say for that. I think Ortiz is definitely, if I was Luis Ortiz and I had to pick between Joe Joyce and Dillian Whyte, I would definitely pick Dillian Whyte, because I think Joe Joyce is a terrible matchup. Joe Joyce is going to be, he throws a lot of punches. He throws a lot of punches from weird angles. He's quite novice in the way he boxes. And I think, like I said, he's going to put too much pressure on Ortiz. And I think those legs are going to get a real workout. And Joe Joyce is he's a thudding puncher, Joe Joyce, you know. I know their punches look slow and everything. He's a thudding puncher. I give Ortiz a lot more of a chance against somebody like Dillian Whyte, because Dillian Whyte really has no craft. As we all know, Dillian Whyte came late to boxing. The guy was a kickboxer. The guy was a tough guy kickboxer who made the switch across to boxing at a very late age. I still think that shows in Dillian Whyte's boxing today. I don't think Dillian Whyte's a technician. I don't think Dillian Whyte will know much about how to handle the kind of angles that Ortiz throws punches. I don't think Dillian Whyte's going to know how to deal with Ortiz's lead hand control. I don't think, Dillian Whyte's going to learn how to deal with a lot of what Luis Ortiz brings. And normally, like I said, if this was a couple of years ago, I'm going with Luis Ortiz by knockout. But the one thing about Dillian is he's very big. He's very big. He's very, very heavy set. And he has heavy hands. He's not like a massive knockout guy, but he has heavy hands, particularly left hook to the body, left hook to the head. And I'll be honest with you, I see Charles Martin bump him over with a jab. And Charles Martin, I don't believe, is a bigger puncher than Charles Martin. I think at some point, like you said, it's heavyweight boxing and somebody's going to land. And I think Dillian will land on him. And I just think Dillian probably a little bit fresher. And that's why I think Dillian Whyte, watching this now, I would make him a 60-40 favorite over Charles Martin. But that's just my opinion, bro.
Yeah. You mean you make Whyte a 60-40 favor over Ortiz, right?
Absolutely. I think absolutely.
I think it's 50-50. So we're not that far apart. You know what I'm saying? We're not far apart at all. That's totally reasonable. It's the people that come at me and like, yo, it's 90-10. Like, come on, man. No, it's not. There's no gap between Ortiz of 90-10 and any heavyweight except for like Fury and AJ and those guys.
What do you think about Wilder's resume? Wilder's resume. Do you think it makes Wilder look better or worse? Let me tell you something quickly. In a weird way, the Anthony Joshua fans are going to say, look, Charles Martin put Luis Ortiz over twice, which is true. The one thing I will say in response to that, to balance it out a little bit, is that Anthony Joshua never hurt Charles Martin once in their fight the way Luis Ortiz hurt him tonight. Yeah. Luis Ortiz put his fucking lights out. No question about it.
I mean, Mike, dog, I was watching that fight on the edge of my bed, and I'm pretty sure I've seen it probably one time in my life. But when Ortiz, I knew the shot Ortiz caught him with, I knew if Ortiz caught him, it was going to be that shot. We all knew that was going to be the shot. He was trying to catch one with that the entire fight. And one thing, let me rewind a little bit. The only thing I think that it's in Ortiz's favor, I do agree with you, Dillian Whyte is probably a better matchup than Joyce, is that, and you tell me what you think about this. Martin seemed to close the distance on Ortiz faster than I think Joyce would.
Martin's a faster puncher, definitely. Martin was beating. Right. Martin's got quick hands. Martin was beating him to the punch.
He does have quick hands.
But the difference is
he was closing distance a lot faster than Joyce would.
I think he's a quicker puncher, but I think Joyce will close the distance with his feet far more than Charles Martin.
Far more. He's taller. You're right. He's a lot taller.
Far more. Joe Joyce's feet. Joe Joyce is going to have Luis Ortiz working far harder than Charles Martin had him. Charles Martin's a quicker puncher. Charles Martin will land faster shots. Charles Martin will beat Ortiz to the punch quicker. Yeah, but Ortiz, the amount of pressure that Joyce is going to put on him, he's going to be. You're going to see Ortiz moving back in lines constantly in that fight. Constantly, Ortiz. Joe Joyce will be all over him in that fight, walking him back. That's the only way Joe Joyce can win. Joe Joyce can't box with Ortiz. He knows he can't box with Ortiz. Joe Joyce isn't going to try to box with Ortiz. Joe Joyce is going to use his chin, hang his chin out to dry on the washing line as a defense, and he's going to let fucking Luis Ortiz chip away at his chin. That's what he's going to do. He's going to walk him down, chin up in the air, and he's going to let Luis Ortiz chip away at his chin, but he's going to grind him down with it. So that's why I think it's a really, really bad matchup. Very bad.
What percentage you put that fight at? 60-40 or 70-30?
No. The Ortiz will get him out of there, 100%. I mean,
Joyce.
Joyce will get him out of there.
The only reason I'm bringing it up
70-30, 70-30, 80-20. Luis Ortiz isn't going to knock out Joe Joyce.
No.
And if he doesn't knock out Joe Joyce, he's not going to win the fight.
The reason it's such an intriguing fight to me is because I know it's a realistic fight that can be made. I would be so excited about the Dillian Whyte fight if I thought it was possible, but I know PBC won't work with Ahern, so I know they won't make the fight. So I bring up Joyce because I know it's realistically possible.
MPOC says, "Are you serious? Dude is a great counterpuncher. He's not going to knock out Joe Joyce, bro. I'm telling you." I just don't have to tell you it, bro.
Tell me this though.
Bro, hold on. Let me just hold on. Let me just ask somebody. Does anybody here honestly believe that Luis Ortiz will knock out Joe Joyce if they fight? In the comment section right now, yes or no? Yes or no? Does anybody here think Luis Ortiz will knock Joe Joyce out if they fight? I'm willing to put my mortgage on it that Luis Ortiz will not knock Joe Joyce out if they fight. I'm willing to put my mortgage on that. Doesn't mean I'm right. I could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. But I will put my mortgage on Joe Joyce, seeing out the distance against Luis Ortiz. 100%.
Oh boy.
And that's the problem. That's going to be the problem.
Have some roommates. Listen.
That's the problem. Now, carry on, Shevin.
I got one for you. To counter that point you just made. Remember when Joyce fought, I want to watch that fight when Joe Joyce fought Brian Jennings, right? And the fight when Joe Joyce fought Brian Jennings, and Brian Jennings hurt Joyce bad with a shot to the body, the first round or second round. And Joyce stomached it. He just kind of ran for the rest of the round, which he should have stayed away. But it was a counter left to the body. And the shot that Ortiz is going to be trying, at least he should be, versus the taller fighter, the same way he did Wilder in the second fight, is going to be that counter left down to Joe Joyce's body. And I just think there's some shots there that he can make that can make that fight a lot more interesting than people think it would be.
Let me tell you, that fight can definitely happen because Sam Jones and the rest of them are calling for that fight about a year ago. Joe Joyce will step in the ring with Luis Ortiz tomorrow. I think they tried. I actually think they tried to make that fight. I actually think they really tried to make that fight, and there was an offer made. So it could happen.
Yeah, I love that fight. I hope it happens. I mean, of course, I love the Dillian Whyte fight because it's closer to Ortiz winning that fight better, but I favor Ortiz fight because I think it's like you just said, the business makes sense. Frank Warren does business with PBC and Al Heyman all the time, so it's something they could really make. I mean, Ortiz, man. I mean, as far as going back to your question about Wilder and Wilder's resume, I mean, like you said earlier, Wilder, beat Ortiz twice, and he beat him, one time 4 years ago when he was a whole lot younger. He beat him 4 years ago when he was a whole lot younger. Oh, that's another point I want to make. I know you said earlier that it was difficult for Ortiz to line up that left hand because he was facing a southpaw. And you're a
Mhm.
southpaw, you know how awkward that is. Do you think that advantage will make it easier for him to line up Dillian Whyte or line up
Absolutely.
Joyce? What about Joyce?
He's gonna find it. He's gonna listen. Luis Ortiz, right, will find it a lot easier to line up the left hand against Dillian Whyte. It's hard to explain here. Sorry, I've got the reason why people are why I've got low patience is because it's like fucking 6 a.m. UK time, yeah, and I need my fucking Weetabix and to go to bed. So I
Yeah,
apologize if
you
I'm being a
do.
bit short. I apologize if I'm being a bit short with people. It's just basically lack of sleep. But left-handers versus left-handers is always a bit because basically, like I said, all the angles that you're used to setting up, yeah, all the angles that you're used to using to setting up to land the left hand, yeah, against an orthodox fighter, you all of a sudden, it's very, very difficult to use those same angles against a left-handed fighter, and you sort of have to go about it a different way. And in this fight, what you saw, yeah, in my opinion, what you saw a lot of is Luis Ortiz slipping into the left hand of Charles Martin, and that's what was happening in this fight. Luis Ortiz, when Charles Martin would throw the left hand, Luis Ortiz was trying to slip into the left hand, trying to roll it and roll under it. And these left hands were whizzing by and missing him and blah, blah, blah. And then Ortiz was trying to return fire with his own left hand. So Ortiz really put himself in the firing line. He really gambled tonight and he really,
He
really
did.
put himself at risk because he stood in the line of Charles Martin's left hand. When Charles Martin threw it, he tried to slip it. And then with timing, he tried to return fire with his own left hand. He's not going to do that, yeah, in the same way when he gets in the ring against a right-hander, in my opinion. So I 100% think, yeah, that stylistically, Dillian Whyte is going to be a better matchup stylistically for Ortiz to get his shots off. Absolutely. The only problem I have with Whyte is because I just think Whyte is fresher, and I know that Whyte can punch.
Yeah,
If you watch the Joseph Parker fight in particular, Whyte's not a knockout puncher, yeah? But if you watch the Joseph Parker fight in particular, Whyte landed some very, very heavy knockdowns on Joseph Parker, right? Who's got a semi-decent chin, right? Anthony Joshua never hurt Joseph Parker in their fight. If you look at Dillian Whyte in the opening couple of rounds against Joseph Parker,
hurt him bad.
Dillian Whyte hurt him bad, and Dillian Whyte was actually knocking Joseph Parker off his feet with some of these. He was winding up on some very, very crude left hooks to the body, crude shots, loading up, right? But he was literally knocking Joseph Parker off his feet and around the ring. The shots were so heavy-handed. Like Dillian Whyte's a guy who he's technically garbage, but he comes into the ring very, very heavy, right? He comes into the ring very, very heavy. He's a heavy, sick guy, and he carries a certain amount of power. And I just think he lands one on Ortiz, and I think he'll close him out. And that's just my opinion. Like I said, I could be wrong. I mean, a couple of years ago, for me, it's an Ortiz slam dunk. I'm just doing a poll. Carry on talking. Sorry, I'm just doing a poll.
No, you're good. You're good.
Who wins, Whyte or Ortiz?
Yeah, yeah. I'm really interested to see what people think about Ortiz and Joyce, just because it's realistic.
Okay, we can do that poll after.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that one also. So people think about that. I think that's something that both sides will probably want because Joyce is not going to get a title fight anytime this year. Ortiz is not going to get a title fight anytime this year, most likely. So because both those guys, that's the biggest fight that both of them can make from a marketing standpoint and business wise. It makes sense for both of them. So I would love to see that. It has to happen soon though, because like I said, we all know Ortiz is old as hell. He can't go another year out the ring. But
Yeah.
yes, I always believe the older fighters stay young, the more they're active. The older you get, the more you have to fight. You cannot go 6-8 months out the ring. But
That's a good point.
I want to know other thing for Ortiz too. This is just a question about the fight. I know I see people arguing on Twitter a bit about the stoppage, saying, "Oh, Martin could have kept going," and I think after the second knockdown, you could say that. That's a fair argument that Martin could have kept going. But the ref should have stopped the fight after the first knockdown. Never in my life, Ultra, have I seen a referee help a fighter who's tangling the ropes on his ass like that. That was so strange to me. And I don't think there was anything sketchy or dodgy going on, but when Martin went down and his hands caught in the ropes and he's sitting there, hey, help me up. I was like, ref, you can't help him up. You can't. You have to count him out. Like, that was just so strange to me. When he untangled his glove, I said, no, you can't do that. You have to count him out. So people are saying that, oh, it was a bad stoppage. No, it wasn't, because when he caught Martin with that first shot and Martin did the mannequin freeze challenge, he just froze on his feet and just started looking towards the crowd. I said, yo, stop the fight, bro, because he's about to get hit again while he was like standing like someone like Sub-Zero hit him with the zoom, get over here. He just froze in the ring.
He was gone. I mean, I would say, look, it was difficult for the ref because if the guy's arm's trapped and that trapped arm is stopping him from getting up and he can't make the count because his arm's trapped in the ropes, what do you do? And I think that's the reason why the ref did what he did. Because what if his arm being trapped in the ropes meant that? And by the way, can I say we've got 149 people here, yeah? And only 29 likes. That's absolutely disgusting. So if we can hit the like button, that would be absolutely fantastic. 150 people in here and only 30 likes. If you can hit the likes, that'd be great. It's 6 a.m. down here. I'm literally out of my feet. I'm ready to go to sleep here, yeah? I'm like Luiz Ortiz, man. I need my nap.
Trust
Us
me,
old
Luiz
people.
Ortiz is not like Johnny Rice right now. Ortiz in the bed. Ortiz in the back of the truck. His wife is driving. I promise you, he fell asleep in the back of the van. I promise you he did. He's in the back of the van. He's got beer in one hand, and he's knocked out. His wife's going to tap him on the leg about 5 minutes and say, baby, we home. Come on, good, baby. Come on, get up.
Yeah, obviously. Luiz Ortiz, pipe and slippers, mate, at home. But I would say, yeah, I mean, that's the dilemma that the referee had, really. I mean, if it was a case of something happened where Charles Martin felt he can make the count, but he couldn't actually get up because his arm was trapped in the ropes, would that have been fair? Would that not have been fair?
I need to go watch that clip again. I've seen it a few times because, to me, Martin was not trying to get up. And he was waving the ref over. I was like, if he was trying to get up, fool, but he was just sitting there saying, ref, come on, help me, help me. I said, nah, nigga, get up. Like, or at least try to get up.
It's a hard one. It's a hard one for the ref. I mean, I would have been worried as well that he could have injured himself with his arms in the ropes. Personally, if that was me, I probably would have stopped the count and tried to get his arm out just because it looked really awkward.
But would you have stopped? Did you think the stoppage was fair? And did you think the ref should have stopped it even before that arm got caught? He was out of his seat.
I think that, do you know what? It's a weird one. He possibly could have let Martin go on and have one more go, to be honest. He could have let Martin have one more crack at it. And to be honest, he probably should have let Martin have one crack at it because Martin knocked him down twice in the fight. Just thinking about that. And now thinking about it that way, maybe the referee should have let it continue because when you've got Martin and he let it, he got knocked down twice in that fight. I think he owed it to Charles Martin to go right to the end. I think Luiz Ortiz probably would have got him out of there anyway, yeah? But after Ortiz had been hurt twice and dropped twice or whatever it was, yeah? I think the referee owed it to Charles Martin to let him go all the way, and he didn't do that.
See, the difference for me was because we all know that there's some knockdowns that are way worse than other ones. Like when Chisora knocked down Parker in the first round of their first fight, and it was like a flash knockdown. We knew that Parker wasn't hurt that bad. And now Ortiz, the first time he got knocked down, he was hurt, obviously. I think he was really hurt. The second time, I mean, it was a jab. I don't know if it was out of balance or what happened. It was a great jab, too. But he went down and he popped right back up. Didn't seem too hurt. When Ortiz, that's crazy thing about boxing. Someone can get hit and go down, and someone can get hit and be on their feet and still be in worse condition. Because when Martin took that shot, I mean, his whole body just got catatonic and just froze. He just started looking to the crowd and just like he started seeing it. It was unbelievable.
I wish I could show it, but I can't show it to
people. I know, man. I've watched it a few times. He just froze.
It is what it is. I mean, like I said before, I mean, one thing I will say is I think this version of Charles Martin is better than the Charles Martin I thought Anthony Joshua. I don't think anybody can really dispute
I knew that when he fought Kalnacki the first time. Yeah, he's got a lot better. Yeah,
he's got a lot better. So,
would you think they'll rematch him?
Well, those two?
Yeah.
I don't think they will, no, because I think Luiz Ortiz on borrowed time. I wouldn't mind seeing the rematch. I actually think it could be a good fight, but I think Luiz Ortiz on borrowed time, and he's going to want a payday now. He's not going to want to fight Charles Martin again in a fucking Hard Rock hotel in front of 50 people. He's going to want a big fight because he's got to pay for his daughter's not well. Their medical bills are horrible, so it is what it is. He's going to have to do what he's going to have to do. And like I said before, if they can get him in with someone like a Dillian Whyte, that would be a money fight for him. I'd rather see him against Dillian Whyte than see him against Anthony Joshua. I don't want to see him in the ring with Anthony Joshua because that is definitely
Joshua would finish him.
Oh my God, that's a fight that will definitely end in tears. So it's about really, the
biggest money. What they're probably going to do if they're thinking money, you know what? The Joshua thing might happen just because I think Helenius is in that WBA, WBO mandatory spot. So they'll probably put Ortiz in a fight versus Helenius next. And if he wins that fight, he would basically be covering two mandatories, the IBF and the WBO. And he would be in line to fight Usyk or Joshua late in the summer. That's what they'll probably
And then
do.
obviously with Anthony Joshua, I mean, that's a 4, 5, 6 million pound payday. So
Exactly.
it is what it is. But he will get wiped out in that fight, in my opinion.
Yeah, he will.
I mean,
he will.
I think Usyk again. Usyk's bad news for him as well, to be honest. But
You
it
think
is
so?
what it is. I think Usyk probably get him out of there as well. In all honesty, I'm not trying to shit on Ortiz. I just think Usyk's at the absolute peak of his. He's at the peak of his powers at the minute, and he's another guy again who is got an incredibly high work rate. Incredibly high work rate.
Yeah, you know what? Usyk's a southpaw. You're right. If Usyk was right-handed, I'd give him a better shot. You're right.
Yeah, incredibly high work rate. And if you're struggling to sort of line up Charles Martin, I'm not sure if you want to be struggling to line up Usyk. And if Charles Martin's beating you to punch, fucking Usyk, probably beat you to the punch as well. So I don't know. Like I say, it's not about saying Luiz Ortiz is shit.
Joe Joyce fight.
Yeah, it's not about saying Luiz Ortiz is shit. It's just like boxing's about fucking matchups, isn't it? And that's just
timing. Yeah.
That's what it is, exactly. And just think the timing was never right for Ortiz. He went up against the biggest puncher. Deontay Wilder, when he fought Ortiz in 2 fights, Deontay Wilder probably won. How many rounds did he win?
Sure.
In the second fight, he won one. In the second fight, he probably won one
no,
round.
Not one round. The second fight, not one except for the one he knocked him out in.
And then in the first fight, he won a couple. In the first fight, because he got some knockdowns, so he won a couple. But really, if you look at them two, they probably boxed about 14 rounds. They probably boxed, right? Over 2 fights, 14 rounds. I'd probably say Deontay Wilder probably won 4 or 5 rounds out of them 14.
Agreed. Agreed.
It's just bad timing. Got in the ring with a great puncher, and it was what it was. I think at that point, if he'd have fought anybody else at that point, he could have been a world champion. I think the Luiz Ortiz that nearly got Wilder out of there in the first fight. I tell you what, if he gets Anthony Joshua in that situation,
he'd beat Joshua.
Jesus Christ! I mean, and people will say to this video, they'll say shit like, "Oh, Ortiz wouldn't beat AJ." Mate, AJ just got spanked by a fucking cruiserweight. And let me tell you, I very much doubt. I know Usyk can whack a bit, yeah, but I don't believe that Usyk can punch harder than a peak Luiz Ortiz. I don't believe Alexander Usyk can punch harder. Guys, let me know in the chat if you think I'm wrong about that. But I don't think who do you think's a harder puncher, Peak Ortiz or Usyk? I think Ortiz is a big puncher, man. You see it today. 42 years old, no legs, and he's still knocked Charles Martin into the third dimension. So I've always said I think Luiz Ortiz is very heavy-handed, and I think, like I said before, he did that at AJ in 2018. Looking back on it, Mark got AJ out of there. In my opinion, that's just my opinion.
I think I just totally forgot about someone, and because it just depends. It really depends on what Wilder does, because I know they want to make the Wilder-Ruiz fight. But if they don't make that fight, what do you think about Ruiz-Ortiz?
You know what? Like I said before, what I've seen tonight from Ortiz is really concerning. The Hayes fight is a good fight because I want to see that. That's a nice fight. I like to see that fight. That fight will be a good barometer of where he is. But right now, I really worry about him. Getting in the ring with a puncher because I don't like what I've seen from him. I've never seen Luiz Ortiz like that before, and I've seen Luiz Ortiz fight a bunch of times, and I've never seen Luiz Ortiz like that before. And I didn't like what I saw tonight. It was the knockdowns. It was the manner of the knockdowns. He didn't know what was going on and why it was happening. If you look at his reaction. He was actually on someone. He was looking in his corner in disbelief, and he was like shaking his head, like it was so bad. Like I think people online are trying to speculate that he's got a knee injury or something's going on because it just looked so strange. What happened looked so strange.
I'm not a doctor, but I don't know this for sure at all. I had to rewatch the fight to see if I can really see how he was on his legs before he took that shot. Because the legs might have been okay. It's just that when he took that shot, he might have just been done equilibrium-wise.
I want to move on to Frank Sanchez quickly, and then we're going to go home. In closing, that's my honest opinion on that. I just think, like I said, it's not about saying Ortiz is shit, but hand on heart, I can't hand on heart say he's the favorite over Dillian Whyte, in my opinion, based off that. But I do want to talk about Frank Sanchez. What do you guys think about this, Frank? This is the first time I saw bits and bobs of him fighting. Yes, I saw bits and bobs of that on the Wilder versus Fury undercard. I'm telling you this, right? This is very, very controversial. 99 people in the room, please hit the like button. I'm going to get smoked for saying this. I honestly think that Eddie Reynoso might just be the most overrated trainer in the history of boxing. Honestly, I'm trying to figure out, this guy. Where the plaudits are coming from, where the plaudits are coming from. When I see Canelo Alvarez box, Canelo Alvarez is one of the greatest fighters of all time. But I honestly believe, that Canelo Alvarez might even improve as a fighter, or might even put on some better performances if he actually goes with another trainer. Because some of the things that I have seen in Canelo recently, in his recent fights, that I don't like is the way that Canelo's quite flat-footed. The way that Canelo sort of it's quite one-paced, plods his way into fighters, loads up on a lot of big singles, doesn't really throw a lot of big combinations. Canelo Alvarez doesn't really set up. You don't really see him throw many twos, threes, and fours. It's just really, seems to walk fighters down and then load up on a big left hook, or walk fighters down and load up on a big overhand right. Yeah. And I think, like I said before, in the Caleb Plant fight, I thought that Caleb Plant fight was a lot closer than what people thought. People saying he was always ahead of Plant. I just thought that fight was a bit close. And I thought, like I said before, Caleb Plant took a lot of advantage of Canelo Alvarez telegraphing, loading up on big singles, and being quite and having quite flat feet in that fight. And I'm seeing the same things that in this Frank Sanchez. And you know what? Like I said before, let me say this now. Cuban fighters, right? A lot of the Cuban fighters I've seen, yeah, don't fight in that kind of style that what I see from Frank Sanchez. Do you know what I mean? Like they tend to be very, very crafty. They tend to be very, very good at setting up punches, very, very good at throwing punches at different speeds. So tap, hard, tap, soft punch, follow up with a hard punch. So if you look at someone like Rigondeaux, for example, the complete opposite, Rigondeaux, yeah, do you know what I mean? He throws a lot of probing jabs, a lot of touch jabs, and then he fires over a big left hand. He's very, very good at setting up shot. You see Frank Sanchez just walking in tonight, and he just telegraphing absolutely every single punch. Christian Hammer, for those people who don't know, came to the UK and was stopped by Hughie Fury, right, on a Sky card. And that he had more notice for the Hughie Fury fight than he did for the Frank Sanchez fight. And if you look at the difference between the way that Hughie Fury fought him and the way that Frank Sanchez fought him, right, you can see the difference. And if you look at, I have to say, the difference in the coaching between how Peter Fury was telling him to fight Christian Hammer and what Eddie Reynoso was doing. I mean, the difference was night and day. Peter Fury, for me, telling Hughie Fury, don't go telegraphing, don't go looking for the single big shot. Set your shots up behind lots of tippy tappy soft shots and just set him up. Tip tap, get your feet set, get into range, and then come up with a big shot. And Hughie Fury did 10 times a better job, right, against Christian Hammer, who had a lot more notice than Frank Sanchez did. And that is very, very, very alarming for me. A lot of very, very unusual to see a Cuban fighter do that. Frank Sanchez has obviously got very, very good feet going forward. He's obviously got very, very cute footwork, right? He's got very, very cute footwork. But I'm telling you now, Christian Hammer tonight could see that Frank Sanchez only had one plan. Frank Sanchez's game plan the entire fight was jab to the body, overhand right. Jab up top, overhand right. He fought in the same pattern the entire fight. And Christian Hammer could literally see every single punch he was throwing coming. And there was just no change in tactics. And for me, that's beginning to be a bit of a theme, yeah, with some of these Eddie Reynoso fighters, A bit of a theme, loading up on punches, loads of big signals. You see Eddie Reynoso. You ever seen him in the gym, the videos of him in the gym on the aqua bag of these fighters? They're standing there, feet planted, nice wide stance, feet planted, and then just smashing away at the heavy bag, or they're just smashing away at the aqua bag. I'm not convinced about Eddie Reynoso. Trainer of the year. I don't know what guys think in the comment section. Drop me a comment, but I need to see him do it with somebody who is not Canelo Alvarez before I'm convinced, Shevin. Sorry.
No, even a guy like Sanchez, I like Sanchez a lot. I think he's a really talented fighter. I think defensively, some of the defensive angles he throws, it makes it really, really hard to land a clean shot on him is really good. But offensively, he's so limited, and that's frustrating for a guy who is as big and talented as he is to be getting in distance, throwing a shot, a telegraph shot at that, like you said, getting out of distance, and just doing it, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And you're doing this versus Christian Hammer. I mean, Joe Goodsman was killing him. I mean, the entire fight, saying, you're ahead. This was a top 10 heavyweight, up and coming guy that people are looking for as a title contender, and you're fighting Christian Hammer like this on pay-per-view. Like this is real bad. And I like that. The Fox guys, at least Joe Goodsman, they're not going to just blow smoke up the guy's ass because he's a PBC fighter. Joe Goodsman was just smoking him nonstop for the exact same things that you were saying, the exact same things you were saying about him. And Reynoso, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, obviously, he's done a good job with Canelo, but hell, it's Canelo Alvarez. And
It's,
Canelo does some of the same things that Sanchez does, going in, loading up on shots. The thing you said about Plant, if Plant had any kind of power at all, I mean, he'd have won that fight. I mean, he was hitting Canelo at ease when he wanted to, and he was turning Canelo when he wanted to. And it was just a matter of fact that all those shots he was landing on Canelo in a fight I thought was very even before he got stopped. It was a matter of the fact that the shots he was hitting Canelo with could not hurt him. They couldn't hurt him.
I wouldn't say it's like it does this Eddie Reynoso phenomenon that's happening. It does remind me a tiny bit of what we have with Adam Booth in the UK.
Adam Booth.
It does remind me a little bit. I mean, I will give Eddie Reynoso credit because he had Canelo Alvarez from a very, very young age. Okay, so look, you have to give him credit for that. But it is starting to become very, very Adam Booth when you've got this guy who has a once in a lifetime athlete. Yeah, all right. Trainer aligns himself with a once in a lifetime athlete, right? Off the back of the work he's done with that once in a lifetime athlete, all these high profile names start joining his gym and he starts getting all the plaudits. How the fuck are people calling Eddie Reynoso Trainer of the Year because Oscar Valdez and Andy Ruiz are winning fights? Oscar Valdez and Andy Ruiz.
About Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz looked better when he was with Benny Robles.
I mean, Andy Ruiz and Oscar Valdez have been winning fights for most of their fucking careers. Do you know what I mean? I don't understand. Like, it's just another classic case of, a guy. And I think, like I said, Eddie Reynoso's piggybacked his whole career off Canelo Alvarez, like his whole career, everything he's done. And I give him credit because he was with Canelo from the beginning. But I just think this is a guy who's built his whole entire career off one fighter. That's my honest opinion. And I need to see Eddie Reynoso do something with a fighter who is not Canelo Alvarez. And I tell you what, I see Frank Sanchez in that gym, yeah? And he's doing some of the things that I see Canelo Alvarez doing fights. Now, Canelo is different because Canelo is such a hard puncher, particularly at 168. There's nobody at 168 that can really stand up and take Canelo's punches. Do you know what I mean? When he hits these fighters at 160, 168, guys like Callum Smith, guys like Billy Joe Saunders, guys like Caleb Plant, right? Canelo can afford to load up against these guys because once he hits these guys, they stay hit, right? And it's only a matter of time once Canelo lands that big shot, right? He can take these fighters' legs away. He can break these fighters down. Frank Sanchez, to me, looking tonight, it doesn't look like Frank Sanchez is the kind of guy that can break fighters down at heavyweight. Now, maybe I'll be proven wrong about that, right? But tonight, seeing how he performed against Christian Hammer, it doesn't look like he has the kind of devastating power, right? That once he touches a guy like Canelo does, they stay hit. Or you see them degrade in real time as the shots land. Do you know what I mean?
You know what they'll probably do with him next, Ultra? What do you think about this? And they might do with Sanchez next, most likely. They'll probably put him in the ring with Charles Martin, and Charles wants to keep fighting.
Yeah, no, I'm still going to pick Sanchez in that fight because I don't believe Charles Martin's chin can stand up to it. But it'll be a good fight, though, and a good test for Sanchez. It'll be a good test. I think what we saw tonight, the blueprint, and I tell you who I think I'd like to see Frank Sanchez in with, and people will laugh. What do you guys think about Joe Joyce versus Frank Sanchez? I think Joe Joyce would laugh.
Love that.
You see how Christian Hammer was able to back him up like that. And I see things. I see Sanchez doing things tonight. When he was backed up, he squares up a lot. As soon as his back touches the ropes, he goes out of his stance and he starts squaring up. Literally, as soon as his back, every time his back went to the ropes, he'd square up every single time. I see him do those kind of things against Joe Joyce. And I tell you what, Joe Joyce against Frank Sanchez in the comments. Do you think I'm crazy? I think Joe Joyce against Frank Sanchez. I think Joe Joyce might do something, because I don't think Frank Sanchez looks that comfortable going backwards when someone's putting the pressure on him. To be honest, I thought, I was expecting him to be cute and clever with Hammer and start walking Hammer onto some counter shots. The basics, like Hammer spent most of the fight walking Sanchez down and backing him up. Did we see a double jab right hand from or double jab left hand from Sanchez? He's a right hand. He's an orthodox. Did we see a double jab right hand from Frank Sanchez going backwards? Did we see a counter check left hook from Frank Sanchez in this fight? No, we didn't. The fucking basics, the bare bones basics of this fight was missing. He looked like a fish out of water when he was on the back foot. And like I said before, I don't know what he's been taught in the gym, but every time I see Eddie Reynoso on Instagram, it's the same shit. He's got him and his fighters, and they're in front of a big heavy bag, or they're in front of a big aqua bag, and they're fucking stationary in a fucking wide stance with their feet planted to the floor, and they're just loading up, on big shots. I know they train very hard in that gym, But like I said before, we'll move on and finish up by going back to Ortiz. I'll let you have the last word on Frank Sanchez. But I'm telling you now, those people who are saying Eddie Reynoso is trainer of the year, mark my words. This is. I'll tell you how this will end up. The Eddie Reynoso phenomenon is going to end up the same way. It's going to end up the same way the Joe Gallagher phenomenon did. I promise you. It'll take a little bit more time because he's got Canelo, and Canelo's going to keep winning. Yeah. But if anything happens with Canelo, or Canelo leaves him, or he takes on more fighters, people are going to realize over time that the Eddie Reynoso thing, Eddie Reynoso is the new emperor's clothes when it comes to boxing training. He is. Eddie Reynoso, I'm telling you now, Eddie Reynoso is the new emperor's clothes when it comes to boxing trainers. And I'm telling you now, you heard it here on this channel, because I tell you now, in a year or 2 years' time or 3 years' time, the same people that are blowing smoke up this guy's ass are going to start saying stuff like, oh, I knew Eddie Reynoso wasn't that good. Oh, he only had Canelo. I'm telling you now, you heard it here first. Shall I let you finish up on this topic and then we'll move on to Martin Ortiz, Wilder, and AJ, and then we'll go home?
Yeah, one thing I will say in Sanchez's defense, I think that was difficult for him. We saw him have success versus FA. I see him have success in other guys he fought. He does really well when he counters guys who are throwing shots, throwing jabs as they come into distance. And Christian Hammer, similar to Andrew Ruiz, they move into distance without throwing shots. They only throw shots once they get in the pocket. So I think for a guy like a Sanchez, if you got someone who's throwing shots while they come into range, he's going to struggle with that. But if you have someone who's jabbing to get into range, like F.A. Jabba kept doing, that's what he wants. But if you don't give him jabs to counter, he's lost.
In that poll, most people agree with you. In our poll, no, against Ortiz and Whyte. Luiz Ortiz has won the poll by 57%. 57% of people think Luiz Ortiz will beat Dillian Whyte.
57% for a 57-year-old.
There you go. I'm surprised by that, but there you go. So Luiz Ortiz has won that poll. I'll do one more for the sake of it. Hold on, let me quickly do one more. Ortiz versus Joyce, who wins? Is that the one you wanted, yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah. That's a realistic fight we can see this year.
Quickly do that.
Especially if most likely they'll do Ortiz and Helenius next, and the winner of that will be a Joyce fight.
Hold on, let me just get rid of somebody 1 sec. So 1 sec. Okay, so righty ho. Sorry about that. Just had to put some. Okay, right. 81 people in the chat. Right. So let's finish up then with the legacy of the great Deontay Wilder. Probably not affected by tonight's fight too bad. I mean, yeah, Charles Martin knocked Ortiz down twice, but Ortiz did absolutely get rid of him in vicious fashion. So I think the Boxweck Warriors, will have probably missed out on their chance to denigrate Deontay Wilder even further.
Can you imagine the just a group of them watching this fight when they saw Martin lose this fight? Even Eddie Hearn, I can't wait to see we don't know what Eddie Hearn's going to say. It's ironic because I saw someone, I think Riku brought this up before, whereas every time Eddie Hearn starts rattling off Anthony Joshua's resume, and he always lists fighters that Deontay Wilder's also fought and beat. Then he says Wilder's fought no one and beat no one. And the fans regurgitate that same backwards narrative. You know, what has AJ done? No one has a better resume. Martin, Brazil. I was like, well, but the guys who like Wilder and guys like Ortiz, they also beat Martin. They also beat Brazil. So you can't give Anthony Joshua credit for beating those guys and not give these guys credit for beating them. It's one of the two. Either AJ beat a bunch of bums who you guys rated, or these other guys, Ortiz and Wilder, they also should get credit. So which one's it going to be? You're going to take credit away from Anthony Joshua, or you're going to finally give credit to Ortiz and Wilder? They're really going to be lost in this situation.
Yeah, I think, like I said before, you can't have it both ways. Right. 1 minute Ortiz is 150 years old, but if he's still knocking out Anthony Joshua opponents in devastating fashion, then I think we still have to give him a bit of credit with that. I'll tell you one thing. Going on Anthony Joshua, Lennox Lewis said on the commentary that he it's bullshit, but he seemed to say that it's still up in the air if Anthony Joshua's actually going to fight Alexander Usyk. This fight hasn't actually been announced, huh?
I heard that. I thought that was very concerning too.
I think Lennox is going off old interviews. I think Lennox is going off the old IFL TV interview of AJ saying I would take, if they offered me silly money to step aside, I'd have to have a think about it. But what do you think? And guys in the chat, I'll ask you guys. For anybody who's still listening, 86 people in the chat, please hit the like button. What do you guys think is the likelihood out of 10 that Anthony Joshua will step aside and not fight Alexander Usyk? I think it's very low, but I don't think he has a trainer yet as of interest. And I wonder if that might just play into proceedings. He still doesn't seem to have any kind of trainer. So what do you guys think in the chat out of 10 is the likelihood that Anthony Joshua will not fight Alexander Usyk? I think the fight's going to happen, but like I said before, kind of expected the fight to be announced pretty soonish. Anthony Joshua doesn't seem to have a new trainer. Mind you, there is a bit of a delay, obviously, because of COVID. What do you think, Chev?
Well, those two things are kind of concerning to me as well. One, we're in January now. The fight's going to be taking place in the March or April. That's very, very soon. AJ does not have a trainer. The slowdown because of all the situations of travel restrictions, all the things that are going on in the UK, which you guys know well more about that than I do. But those two factors, this fight will not get pushed back. Well, it won't get pushed back. So if for whatever reason, if Joshua doesn't have a trainer very soon by the end of this month, it doesn't matter whether the fight happens or not. I feel that he's going to lose. Like I've been kind of with you on thinking that he's going to win a rematch.
Hold on. Why do you think the fight won't get pushed back?
Just because I don't think Usyk wants to get the fight pushed back at all. The longer it gets pushed back, he could find himself in a very similar situation that Deontay Wilder found himself in with the whole Fury situation, whereas they kept pushing the fight back because they were chasing crowds.
But what can he do? Like, he can't do anything about that. He's contractually obligated to fight AJ next. That's it. He's tied in.
I know.
Forever.
Fury, same thing with Fury, and he almost got out of it. I don't know, man. It's just strange to me that fight is coming up next, and I can't imagine because I think the longer that fight they take to make that fight, for Anthony, I think it hurts Anthony Joshua. I also think they make less money in it. I think that a rematch from a devastating loss needs to happen ASAP from a money standpoint. Because the longer you stay with that fight does not happen, the longer the imagery of Anthony Joshua getting beat stays in fans' hands. I think Eddie Hearn knows that. And the fact that the fight's happening in 3 or 4 months. Have you ever seen an AJ fight that was happening? We knew it was happening in 3 or 4 months or less. No trainer, no date, no venue, none of that. Most of the time, we have all those things going on. There's a chance that a fight might not happen. And I've never felt that this fight would not happen until now. If we don't have the information about AJ's trainer, a venue, and a date by the end of this month, something's going on.
Crazy D3 says something interesting. He said, Krasuk said the last available date for a rematch is 25th of April. Onion Bag says there is usually a contractual date assigned to a rematch clause. Yeah, it is. That's what happened with Fury and Wilder. It was a contractual. It was a date, and I think it went past it because they pushed it because of COVID. He was able to say a judge, an arbitrator pushed it back. So will that happen in this situation? I don't know, but I do know that like that April 25th thing. Yeah, that's soon. Anthony Joshua still doesn't have a trainer. Listen, I was with you. I think he'll win the rematch, like you said before, if he does better than the last fight. They'll give it to him on the cards. Absolutely. But if he's going to do this hybrid, I'll train with Tyreek and them when I'm in Dubai, and I'll train with this guy when I'm in Miami. You'll get your ass beat again, nigga. I don't know what the fuck he's doing, to be honest. It's now January. January, February, March, April. He's got 4 months. He's got time, but he is really, really running out of time. I think Rob McCracken's still going to help him out, I'm assuming. I don't know if it's going to be a completely clean break. He's obviously going to still work with guys like Angel Fernandez. So it's not like he's changing out his entire camp. But like I said before, I don't know. Like he is running out of time, isn't he? In my opinion. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. Like if I think that's the one chance that he won't take the fight. I think that it's a very, very small chance. But I think if he doesn't take the fight, it's going to be something to do with that trainer situation where he hasn't got his camp sorted out, or he hasn't got his trainer situation sorted out, or he hasn't got his team sorted out properly. And for that reason, perhaps he opts to go and do something different or whatnot, or they try and work something out. But I think that's the only way that fight doesn't happen next. So like I said before, I kind of don't know at the minute what he's doing. It's kind of...
Do you think, Ultra, that's that's something that can hurt him in terms of preparation for the fight if he does this whole hybrid 4-5 trainer thing?
Do you know what it is with Anthony Joshua in this fight? I don't know. I really don't know. The thing with that fight is he was so shit in the first fight. I'm telling you, I'm not a big Anthony Joshua fan, right? But the way he fought in that first fight was atrocious. Like that was genuinely embarrassing to watch. That was genuinely embarrassing to watch. The guy's fucking 250 pounds, yeah? And the way the guy was fanning about in the ring like that was genuinely embarrassing to watch. Like, he didn't go out on his shield, you know? And that's what needed to happen.
He didn't want to get hit by a cruiserweight.
No, he didn't. He doesn't. And that's worrying. That's a very, very worrying sign, you know? Sometimes, look, I'm not a professional fighter, right? But sometimes, you know, you have to sort of, unfortunately, boxing's a fight. It's not as much as a chess match as what people think, right? And sometimes, unfortunately, you have to take one in a fight to give one. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you have to be prepared to hit the canvas, yeah, to land one and get a guy out of there. And ironically, we saw that tonight in Luiz Ortiz's fight. Luiz Ortiz was willing to go down on a canvas to get rid of the other guy. Anthony Joshua gets hit, gets hurt, goes into his shell, you know, doesn't impose himself physically at all in the fight. The way he fought was bad. I mean, listen, I'm not saying Usyk wouldn't have won anyway, but he made it hard for himself because, you know, going into the fight, we all thought he was going to be extremely physical and let combination punches go and really, you know, dominate and be the big man. And he didn't. He stood in the center of the ring. Right, he got backed up, and that's what I would say. The fact that he was getting backed up and pushed back by a fucking cruiserweight was fucking embarrassing to watch. So from that perspective, right, the bar has been set so low by that first performance. The bar has been set so low that really, in Anthony Joshua's case, I think the only way is up. I can't imagine him going into the rematch. I'm not saying he's guaranteed to win. But I can't believe he's going to go into the rematch and find a way to perform worse than that. Because that first performance was so fucking bad.
It goes back to things we were saying earlier about even this fight tonight. We've seen all the top guys. Tyson Fury, the first fight versus Wilder, he got hurt, got up and won the fight. The last fight between Fury and Wilder got dropped bad in the third round. Got back up, took risks, dropped Fury 2 times. Tonight's fight, Ortiz was standing on 66-year-old legs, equilibrium shot, knocked down 2 times, and he was still coming forward, taking chances. And we've seen Anthony Joshua since that Klitschko fight, and maybe he got those demons out of his mind of, okay, I could take a shot. I'm going to take a shot sometimes. And then he got in the ring with Andy Ruiz. Not so much the fight he lost to Andy Ruiz. Someone pointed this out to me yesterday. I was talking to someone in the gym. And he goes, I'm telling you what really got AJ. It wasn't the first fight that Andy Ruiz that got him like this. He said it was the second fight, around the third or fourth round, where he was hugging. I saw a few times his facial expressions when he was clinching, and Andy Ruiz caught him a few times, and he's really in a mindset now where he does not want to give one to take one. He doesn't want to.
He can't. In my opinion, right, Anthony Joshua has problems dealing with pressure. That's my gut feeling on it. I could be wrong on that because I don't know the guy. And I feel bad about saying that because I'm not a professional fighter and he handles the pressure better than I ever would, right? But I have to be honest. I think Anthony Joshua has a lot of problems dealing with the pressure and the expectation that is on him in the fight, yeah? And I think he doesn't want to get knocked out, and I think he doesn't want to get humiliated in the ring. And I think that's the reason why when the bullets start flying in the ring and he gets hurt, he goes into his shell. Because you know what?
It's so much pressure.
Usyk,
They
right?
bring him into the ring like Michael Jackson.
Go on. Jump in.
Go on. I was saying how the pressure, you're right, the pressure they put on him, they bring him to a ring like Michael Jackson for all these people and fireworks and all this stuff. They like you said on videos months and years ago, Eddie Hearn put so much pressure on the dude.
I mean, yeah, no, I agree. I think that's what it is. That's my guess, you know. That's my guess. I just think that's what it is. I just think that for him, the pressure is too much. And he doesn't want to get humiliated in the ring. So I think when he gets hit and he gets hurt, he'd rather go out and not get hurt then put it all on the line and get wiped out.
That's it.
And that's what I honestly believe it is. You know, in that fight against Usyk, yeah, he was clearly losing the fight, yeah, and he didn't step on the gas and put his chin on the line. Now, your best mate Deontay Wilder did that behind in the fight, yeah, but he put his chin on the line, yeah, and nearly got it done, and nearly won the fight. Put his chin on the line. So, you know, Anthony Joshua doesn't have that in him. That's the bottom line so far. Maybe he'll show that in a rematch against Usyk, right? But he hasn't shown, right, that he's willing to do that. You know, he hasn't shown that. The closest he's been to showing that is Klitschko. And even in the Klitschko fight, he got hit, he got hurt. He did very well to survive and get out of the round, and then he came back into the fight. He's shown he can recover from being hurt before. But like I said, Shevin, I don't know. Maybe I'm talking crap. I just feel like when the bullets start getting flying and he gets hurt, Anthony Joshua, I think in his mind, he thinks, look, I just don't want to get knocked out in front of my own people. I don't want to get humiliated in front of my own people. I don't want to have to deal with the media making fun of me. I don't want to have to deal with all the memes and people, making videos about me and texting me and saying all these things about me. Do you know what I mean? I just think it just gets all too much for him, you know? And the easiest way out for him is to just, not risk it. And if I get beat on points, I get beat on points, but at least I'm not getting taken out. So I think as a result, he's really safety first. Sorry, carry on. I don't want to talk over you. Sorry, brother.
No, that's it. That's it. And that's what the guy I was talking to the gym was saying. He was saying that, he said, when I watched that second Ruiz fight, I'm thinking, he can not easily, but almost easily, especially the kind of condition that Ruiz was in. Ruiz couldn't move. And I'm like, look, Ruiz is not a guy that moves his head. He comes in straight lines. Josh was very capable of knocking him out. But when Ruiz got inside and threw some shots, it was almost like we see on those movies or those TV shows where all of a sudden the television screen freezes and the viewpoint, you jump inside the actor's head and everything around them freezes. All you see is the cameras and the lights and people screaming. It was like on a video game where you get hit with those shots. And that's what he says happened to AJ mentally, because you see him just squint his eyes when he's clenching. And like you said, it's all about the humiliation or the shame of, I can't get knocked out from all these people. I can't have these memes running around the world. Like I'm an icon, and
I agree with that.
It's affecting him.
No, 100%. If you look at the way he comes out to the ring during some of his fights, it looks like the weight of the world's on his shoulders in some of the walkouts, in my opinion.
Yeah, and some guys, Shawn Michaels, can handle that, and some guys can't. Shawn Michaels love that shit.
No, seriously, I feel sad. I think what you've raised is a really good point, and I'd say genuinely, I feel sorry for the dude because I suffer from anxiety myself, and I feel straight. I do believe, and I believe for a while, he's seeing a sports psychologist. There's nothing wrong with that, right? At all. But I honestly believe that Anthony Joshua has a problem with anxiety before fights. That's my opinion. I think, like I said before, some of the stuff I've seen him say in interviews, some of the stuff I've seen him say in the run up to the fights, the whole thing. Remember we were discussing again in the Usyk fight, the whole taking selfies thing, taking selfies and all that kind of thing. The whole nicey thing. Go on.
The run up to the Andy Ruiz 2 fight, I watched him do an interview the night before the fight with Coogan, and him and Coogan were just talking. And he wasn't joking. He said to Coogan, he goes, "Hey Coogan, you think I can win this fight?" And Coogan was like, "Yeah, I think you're gonna win." He goes, "All right, top man." I could tell Ultra he sincerely wanted like the approval of Coogan or the belief of someone else in him that he may not have himself. That was so strange to me. I was like, why is he asking Coogan, you think I can win this fight?
Bizarre. It's bizarre.
Yeah, very strange.
I think, like I said, the way he behaves, if you look at the way he behaves with people like Dominic Brazil, right?
Yep.
And the way he behaves when he's facing Eric Molina, right? And if you look at that and contrast that with the way he behaves when he's got to fight a Dillian Whyte, or the way he behaves when he has to fight a Klitschko, or the way he behaves when he has to fight a Povetkin, it seems to be every time he's in a fight with somebody who he believes can hurt him or has the power to put him down, his demeanor completely changes. And all of a sudden, he becomes very, very pally, or he becomes very, very subdued. And that's what, and that to me is a. I'm not saying, look, like I said before, I'm not saying, look, different people handle it in different ways. It's not a problem, right? Different people handle it in different ways. But if you look at the way he behaves when it's Dominic Brazil, he's when it's Dominic Brazil, he's behaving like a roadman. He's telling him he's going to knock him out before the fight
I remember
happens.
that.
You know, yeah, and this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's exactly as Joking brings up. You know, he's a lot more comfortable, isn't he, around the Dominic Brazils and the Eric Molinas. But when somebody, unfortunately, when he's in with somebody like a Dillian Whyte, right, who Dillian Whyte is by far, if you put all these fighters in a room, right, and lock them up without boxing gloves, Dillian Whyte would be the last man standing, right?
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure. Dillian Whyte,
that man was a kickboxing,
yeah,
real street dude.
Dillian Whyte would be the last man standing out of all of them, yeah, if you put them in without gloves, right? But he's been in the ring with Dillian Whyte. He knows Dillian Whyte beat him and dropped him and hurt him in the amateurs, right? He knows Povetkin has the power to hurt him, and Povetkin hurt him in that fight. He knew Vladimir Klitschko had the power to hurt him, and Klitschko nearly put his lights out in that fight. He knew that Usyk had the boxing ability to make him look stupid, right? And look at what he was doing. And it's just, for me, like I said before, it's bad signs, you know, like I said before. Now, do we really believe that in this fight against Usyk, is he really going to come out and put his chin on the line? Because that's how he's talking. He's talking about murder, isn't he? Murder Inc. He's talking about murder. He's talking about murder. And that's what he said. He's got murder on his mind. Now, guys in the chat, yes or no? Guys in the chat, yes or no? Do you believe that Anthony Joshua is going to come out in that rematch and put it all on the line? Do you think in that rematch, Anthony Joshua is going to take a shot to land one shot? Do you think he's going to take a shot to land one or two himself? I think he's going to get it done, right? I think he'll get it done on the points, on cards, because, like I said, I think that the ceiling from the first fight was so low that I think if he improves even a little bit, I think the judges will look at it favorably. So I'm going to go with him to get it done in the rematch. But to be honest with you, if I'm being real, yeah, if I'm being real, I'm not sure that he has it in him right now. Can you imagine Usyk knocking him down in a fight? Can you imagine Usyk knocking him down in a fight when he's down on a card, Shevin? Is he going to get up and do what Deontay Wilder did and hang his chin out to dry, trying to land that big right hand?
No.
I don't think he has it.
No, there's only a few fighters I've ever seen, especially in the heavyweight division, like we were saying earlier, who we've seen get hurt, get dropped, get back up consistently, or after they're hurt, they still come back and take the same chances. And it's all about mental status of, listen, man, like you said this, Ultra, several months ago. We were talking about David Adelaide, and you were saying that you think he's going to be okay down the road because of something he said in an interview. He says, listen, man, this is heavyweight boxing. At some point, I'm going to lose. And him having that attitude is going to make him such a greater fighter because he understands it's heavyweight boxing. At some point, I'm going to lose a fight. And that way, when you approach things that way, you're willing to take more risks because you know you're going to lose. And going back to one of the guys who you didn't see the first fight in the card tonight. It was a real good fight between two guys, and it was a controversial stoppage. And everyone's talking about it on Twitter. And one guy got up, and he was kind of stumbling around the ring a little bit, and the ref stopped the fight. But he clearly was able to go on because he had dropped the other guy a few times as well. But it's something I heard someone say on YouTube a little while ago. They talked about how Tyson Fury is real good at this. When you get hurt, especially when you get hurt and you go down, guys don't do this whole, I'm embarrassed. I got to jump back up. No, stand up on one knee, wait for the 8 count, and then stand up when you're ready to stand up. Because you jump up to try to avoid embarrassment from all these 8,000 idiots in the fans like myself who are watching and cheering and know nothing about what you're going through. You're going to end up getting yourself stopped, or you're going to get yourself hurt further in the fight. Don't worry about getting hurt. Don't worry about losing a fight. You're a heavyweight fighter. You're going to get hurt, and you're going to lose. If you take that mindset into a fight, you'll be fine.
Do you remember when, just to say, or we'll finish up in a sec, but do you remember the Andy Ruiz one fight when he was sitting in the corner and he was saying, "What's happening to me?"
Yeah, after the third round, the fifth round.
Have you ever seen somebody do that in a corner before? To sit down in the corner during a fight and say, "What is happening to me?"
Never in my life. Yeah, at one point he said, "What do you hit me with? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?"
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that before. You know, I don't think I've ever seen a fighter held in such regard. Get hit and hurt in a fight, go back to his corner and say, what's wrong with me? What's happening to me?
I mean, his fans, Anthony Joshua's fans and his promoter got him on some what's the damn movie Wakanda King, what's his name?
Black Panther, Michael B. Johnson shit.
Yeah, they got
Vibranium
him on
shit.
is
You got
this
no
your king type
vibranium.
shit. Like he really
You got
thinks
no
like he's the
vibranium.
king of these Hmongs and he must lead his people into the waste. I must lead my people into the lands of not shopping in the white shops.
I mean, I'm being serious, Chef, yeah? These Anthony Joshua fans who spend all day banging, and this is what I'm saying. These Anthony Joshua fans who spend all day banging on about fucking resume, right? And banging on about BoxRec and looking at resumes and saying, oh, he fought this guy in his 10th fight, and who did he fight in his 90th fight, and all this shit. I don't look at resume. I look at stuff like that. I look at Anthony Joshua going back to the corner in the first of his fight and saying, what's happening to me? What do I do? Like you said. I mean, fuck me. It's bizarre, you know, and it's worrying. And that's the reason why I stand by this, and I say this now. If he'd have fought Deontay Wilder in 2018, Deontay Wilder would have put his lights out. And I stand by that till this. Deontay Wilder, I don't give a fuck about 100 million DAZN. I don't give a fuck about 50 million BBC. Wilder would have put this guy's lights out. He'd have rocked up to him in a press conference and he would have put it on him from the start. None of this fucking selfie shit. He would have done no selfies. He wouldn't have done no shaking hands. He'd have walked
all that Diamond Brazil shit that he would never try that shit with Deontay Wilder.
He would have walked right up to him and he'd have told him, I'm going to knock you spark out. And I think Anthony Joshua would have been spooked going into the fight. That's my opinion. I think, and that's what I said. By the way, let me make this clear. I think Anthony Joshua is a better if you look at it purely from boxing, I would say AJ's the favorite to beat Wilder because he's a better boxer and he's a much better finisher. I mean, if AJ ever gets Wilder hurt, he'll clean Wilder out. Much better boxing than Wilder, much better finishing than Wilder, all round a better fight than Wilder, in my opinion. I don't think that's disputable, right? But I honestly believe that if they'd have fought 2018, that I honestly believe, and I'm not a big believer in psychology, but I've always believed that Anthony Joshua would have lost that fight before the fight even happened because I think Wilder would have absolutely put it on him. And I mean, really put it on him. And like I said, I do think, like I said, that's just, I know guys in the comments section of people think, oh, Ultras are being a hater. I'm just being honest. I just think, like I said, one of his flaws is he doesn't know how to deal with the pressure. You know what I mean? And how he tries to deal with it is he tries to be little nicey with the Usyks, with the Povetkins and selfies. Wilder would have put it on him so bad. I think he would have gone. I think he would have been spooked going to the ring, to be honest. And people talk about gun shy. AJ being gun shy. Jesus Christ Almighty. Gun shy. What's he going to be like when he gets with Wilder if he's fucking gun shy? A prime Wilder in 2018. And these guys are talking about, oh, AJ's never been the same since he fought Klitschko. He's been gun shy. Well, why do you want him to go in the ring against Deontay Wilder if you're gun shy? Gun shy don't work against Deontay Wilder. Have you guys not understood that yet? Being gun shy don't work against Wilder because you walk in water and you will get wet. And he ain't no Tyson Fury. He's no Tyson Fury. I've never understood this. He's no heavyweight boxing. Anything can happen, but I've never understood the hype behind this guy. You know, he's not a mover. He doesn't move his head. You saw it against Usyk. He's not a mover. He doesn't move his head. He's not slick. He's not hard to hit. And you want to throw him in there with the biggest puncher in the fucking sport. I think my opinion is he'd have been spooked before he stepped in the ring. And as soon as he got hurt in that fight, and all I'll say is this, forget resumes. I mean, you get hit off Andy Ruiz, and he's walking back to the corner and he's asking his trainer what he needs to do. What's going to happen when he gets hit off a prime Wilder?
Listen,
he won't even be walking back to the corner. He won't even be walking back to the corner anyway.
Right,
so you don't have to worry about that. But what I mean, do these guys understand what I'm saying? Guys in the chat, am I being a hater? Yes or no? I'm just spitting it from the heart. I'm being real. Like the dude's sitting in the corner against Andy Ruiz, and he's going, "What's happening to me?" And these dudes want to put him in the ring with a 2017 Wilder. Go on, Chef.
I'm with you. You know, I don't believe those most 9 times out of 10 fights are, obviously one in the ring, not outside the ring. But I watched a documentary about a year ago about Frank Bruno. It's on YouTube. Really good documentary. I kind of missed that whole era. Well, I missed a lot of Frank Bruno fights. So let me go back and watch Bruno. Watch some of his fights on YouTube and watch his documentary. And the documentary really centered around that fight he had against Mike Tyson. and his best friend was narrating, and Frank Warren was talking, and his best friend said, "We're walking to the ring. We're in Las Vegas. Mike Tyson just got out of prison, and we know how intimidating Mike Tyson was." And he said, "No, Bruno's walking to the ring, and all I heard was F you this and fuck you this and fuck you this." And he goes, the whole time we walked to the ring, everything just smelled like nothing but weed smoke. And, and he says, we got close to the ring. Tupac Shakur was standing by the ring with his shirt off, and he leaned over and looked right at Frank and said, "Mike, go kill you, motherfucker." And he said, we got in the ring, and Frank went up to him, and Frank said, Frank Warren said, you're right, Frank. And she just shook his head. And he said, Frank turned to me, and Frank said, "That belt's staying here in America." He said, before the bell rung, Frank was done. I knew he was spooked. And you can't be spooked. You can beat Mike Tyson. Frank can beat Mike Tyson. But you cannot
that's
beat
the funny
a guy
thing,
like
Shevin.
Mike Tyson if you're spooked.
Frank actually could have beaten him. That's the strange thing. I mean, if you look at the second fight, Frank hurt him as bad as he's ever been hurt.
Sure
Carry
did.
on.
But he could beat Mike Tyson, very capable. But you cannot beat a guy like Mike Tyson or a guy like Deontay Wilder, guys who, one, physically capable of knocking you out, and two, they don't care about getting knocked out themselves. And when you're facing a guy like that, if you're afraid, you're going to lose.
Is anybody got anything?
I remember Mike Tyson said that to Tupac. Said it was after one of his fights. He said, "When we wait for you after the fight," and he said Mike Tyson said to him, "Nah, don't worry." He said, "I looked at this guy at the press conference yesterday. He's scared. It's going to be quick."
Well, that's me done because I get scared in fights pretty quickly. But I probably agree with that. And like I said before, and like I said before, like it's in closing, like we're not trying to put AJ down. I've got AJ to win the this is what people don't understand. I've got AJ to win the rematch, right? I'm putting my neck out on I'm like the only person. Is there anybody else picking him to win in the rematch? Anybody who knows about boxing?
I was picking him, but now I'm concerned with this whole trainer thing, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said before, it is bizarre. And the point that we're trying to make and the point I'm trying to hit home is like, forget resumes, man. It's nothing to do with resumes.
Oh, God,
man.
Resumes.
Nothing
I tell these people all the time, what was Camboso's resume before he beat Lopez?
Yeah. Forget all this talk about resumes, man. And somebody, before we go, mentioned AJ Snapchat.
Oh, yeah. That was Joe. And Joe, you're right. I watch it too. It's real bad.
He looks, his brain is frazzled, isn't it?
His Snapchat is like one long documentary every single day. If anyone ever seen one of those documentaries on Michael Jackson, how he had to walk around with all these cameras and all these people 24/7, that's how Anthony Joshua's Snapchat is ran. There's a director, there's a producer, there's a sound person, and they follow him every day, all day, like Michael Jackson was. That kind of pressure on a performer, hey, whatever, because if Michael Jackson goes on stage one night and he has a bad night, who gives a shit? But if Anthony Joshua goes out and he has a bad night because of pressure, he gets knocked the fuck out.
This is an Anthony Joshua Snapchat classic from 2019. This is Anthony Joshua. He says he's the puppet master. Can you see? That's Anthony Joshua. He's put me there. Can you see? Anthony Joshua says this is going back to 2019. Yeah. So Anthony Joshua saying he's the puppet master, and he's got Dillian on strings, as you can see there. There's Dillian on the left. That's probably still true to this day. He got Miller on strings, and there he's got Fury and Wilder on strings. Like I said before, you go back here, 2019, Anthony Joshua. All I will say is this, AJ fans, Matchroom fans. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. What was it? What was it? From 2015 to what? From 2015 to something like 2018. Anthony Joshua's biggest rival was out of boxing. His biggest rival was out of boxing, right? Tyson Fury was 400 pounds, out of boxing, looked finished, and coming off a failed drugs test, yeah? And Anthony Joshua should have cleaned out the division and had the entire division to himself. 2019, look at this, claiming he's the puppet master. It's now 2021. And I'm not being funny. He's in the last chance saloon. Not in terms of his career, will he ever fight again, will he not? But in terms of being considered an all-time heavyweight great, he's in the last chance saloon right now. That's where we are now in 20. He's gone from being the fucking puppet master to being a puppet. Because he ain't the puppet. He ain't putting anybody.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go on, jump in.
No, I'm just saying he's a puppet master of 4 guys that for 4 years he's been talking about and not fought any of them.
Look at these guys in the comments. Look, this is brilliant. Look at these guys. 2019. Look at these guys. It's brilliant. AJ's the puppet master. We told you back in 2018, though. AJ's the puppet master. This is brilliant. Guess what's happening now? Look, see? And they said Ultra's a hater. AJ's the puppet master. Guess what? 3 years later, AJ's in the Last Chance Saloon, man.
Right. But all these guys that he has on his strings are in a better position than he is right now. Fury, Wilder. Now he's the end of their strings. Isn't that crazy? Listen, man. We'll just talk about pressure. Side note, real quick. The pressure's on you right now, okay, for this fucking chicken video.
Oh yeah. We'll get that done. So I'm just going through his thing. Look, what is this? I need to get on Snapchat. You know.
Yeah, but
what is this AJ here? What is he doing here? This dude's 2018. This dude's rocking up in Disneyland, yeah, with this.
Oh, I remember that, the monkeys.
Yo, hold on a minute. Yo, dudes are picking this guy to beat Wilder. What the fuck? The dude's in Disneyland fucking taking pictures with this. What the fuck? Bro, if I'd have seen this back in 2018, I would have said, what the fuck are these dudes talking about? Yo, are you guys for real? This man's walking up in Disneyland taking pictures like this, and you want him to beat a prime Deontay Wilder. Hey, where are these guys, man? Where are these guys, man? Stand up, man. These guys are fucking crazy. Strings. Jesus, hey, apparently he's the fucking puppet master. Fuck me. All right, Chev, we out, yeah? Thanks. Listen, really good show. I really appreciate it, brother.
Anytime, I'm out. Man. Get some rest.
Yeah, man. Take care, brother. See you later.